Welcome, fight fans, to episode 42 of the Hooks In MMA podcast. We've got a big episode tonight because if you've been living under a rock, we have our first UFC event with a full capacity crowd coming up this Saturday, UFC 261 big pay-per-view. So we're all excited. They had the big presser there today, chirping each other. Fans are chirping. I love this stuff. So let's get into today's agenda. We've got Dwight, the body snatcher Grant, who's fighting on the prelims this Saturday, UFC 261. He's a big esport gamer. So all those streamers and gamers out there, make sure to tune into this interview because he talks through some of his hobbies and interests. And if you didn't see earlier in the week, we had Cassius Clay Collard and Bubba I'm a Bad Man Jenkins fighting this Friday night on the PFL. And we also have another Hooks In alum, Alex Martinez, making his PFL debut. So make sure to tune in Friday night here for that one. Moving on to hot headline news, going to be breaking down Whittaker's performance from last Saturday. Dominant as always, talking about what's next for him. The Jeremy Stevens push on Drakkar Close, got a little bit too close. Jake Paul, Ben Askren fallout, what's next for these clowns, and talking a bit about the Gamebred Fight League here that Masvidal announced today that he's launching down in Miami later this year. And then, of course, getting ahead of that book, Easy Lines, UFC 261, Usman, Masvidal 2. Got some great parlays, so make sure to get those Bet365 accounts out. Z-Balls will be leading us to the cashier. Zoni, let's kick things off.
Yeah, I can defer to you guys too, but Whittaker, 5-round, just unbelievable performance. The guy's one of the most likable guys. We've said it before on the podcast. Love to have a couple of beers with him. That'd be an awesome experience. Probably not going to happen, but we can still wish for it. Just an overall great performance. Gastelum, being, southpaw poses quite a few issues. We've talked about that as well. One of the better guys in the welterweight and the middleweight division now. Just very impressed by Whittaker. What's next for him, in my opinion? He either gets that shot against Izzy, or if Izzy's not ready, maybe put him up against Vettori. If Whittaker's not ready, you can definitely move Vettori ahead to have a rematch with Izzy. But either way, some good things to come for Whittaker. Fantastic performance.
Yeah, I was really impressed with just how technical, even more technical he's become, right? Like it seems like he's improved every fight since that loss against Israel, which very actually seems to rarely happen, right? Most guys, when they lose the belt, they kind of go on a downhill after that. He hasn't at all. He's only improved since then. And yeah, if you go back and watch that fight and you really, really know what you're looking at, it's amazing some of the traps that he was setting up for Kelvin. And Kelvin is an amazing boxer in himself, in his own right, of course. He's really the guy that's had the most success against Israel. Again, anyone in the UFC, right, out of anyone. So, he really put on a great performance there. Probably the best. I mean, I'm going to go on a limb, at least in my opinion, his best performance of his entire career for Robert Whittaker. And I can't wait to see him go up against Israel next time around, because I think it's going to go a lot different.
Yeah, what do you guys think about Gastelum? Is he done, or is he going to be back? Not done as in retiring, but is he? You think he's peaked?
Well, this isn't really his weight class, I don't think, right? Like, that's the thing, right? I mean, he's really a welterweight, I think, but like, only really he knows, and maybe his team knows a little bit more about that. But I think if he could make welterweight, he would definitely be outstanding there. But at middleweight, he's always at a disadvantage in terms of that reach and height. Like, even like I said in Easy Lines last week, Whittaker is usually the shorter, stockier guy, and he had the height advantage, obviously. So
actually, what you're saying, Z, actually style wise and being a southpaw, I actually like his chances against Usman better than anyone in that division. I know Colby usually fights southpaw, but I think Gastelum could beat Colby, in my opinion. So, I mean, maybe that he could look at that. He could maybe drop down. He probably would only have to win one fight against, I don't know, somebody around the top 5, and they might give him another shot. They seem to like his skills, and he gets these big name fights because he is good.
Leon Edwards versus Gaslam.
Yeah,
Edwards is even taller than him, actually, right? So, like, fuck, he's moving down division. He's still going to be the shorter guy, but he's obviously going to have the strength advantage. And,
I love that fight. That's a great fight.
Yeah, that's a good setup.
He's also, Gaslam's still so young, too. He's only 29, eh?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So maybe he does that. Maybe he trims down a little.
If he can, it's the whole reason he's at middleweight is because he missed weight 3 times, 4 times, something like that. Yeah. But hopefully that's water under the bridge for Dana. Maybe that grudge is done.
And of course, yeah.
Oh, sorry.
I love Whittaker like you guys do. I think he's probably my favorite fighter on the roster now. Although I do still like Vicente Luque. But no, seriously, watching him perform on Saturday, you guys call me crazy, but it gave me flashbacks of like GSP. I feel like he has kind of the GSP style, very athletic, great striking. I don't know. It just gave me kind of vibes of GSP a little bit. So really excited to see him against Izzy again. I think he fares a lot better this time. And I think he gives Izzy a run for his money. So I'm really excited for when that gets set up.
And I mean, Jan kind of paved the way of how you can beat this guy. So it worked.
We'll see though. Jan still had a 30-pound weight advantage on Izzy on fight night. Whittaker won't have that for the strength advantage, but we'll see.
But at least he's seen somebody.
There's a blueprint.
Yeah.
There's a blueprint. Yeah. Agreed. Cool. So next, I guess there's a lot of topics. What do you guys want to talk about? I know there's a few things on our minds. There's the push. Maybe we'll keep on Saturday's card. Jeremy Stephens. We were excited for that fight. It kind of sucks, right? Last minute. What do you guys think about that whole ordeal?
I don't know. Stephens is a meathead. I don't know what
that
else
sums it up.
How do you? Close didn't even do anything to him. Nothing. The worst chirp that he did was said, I think because Stephens is old, I'm gonna beat him. That was basically the worst chirp that he had building up. There was no reason to be angry at him.
It's pretty ageist, bro.
He's us.
The most interesting thing I thought was when Dana White came out and he was blaming Sean Shelby, who is the matchmaker and the guy that's standing in the middle. And, everyone kind of wonders why he's there or what. In Dana White's opinion is to actually act as the bodyguard. Now, Sean Shelby, I'm not sure if you've seen the guy, but he's like 5'6". Like, he's not that big of a guy. I'm not exactly sure what Dana White was expecting him to do. Was he expecting him to hold, to stop Stephens in some way? I'm not really sure what he was thinking there exactly, but it's an interesting thing as well, because the guys have pushed each other before, nothing's really happened, right? So we've never really had to deal with this. So it's kind of an interesting thing moving forward. Well, if it causes an injury like this, that's bad for business. The fight doesn't go on, right? So they're going to have to maybe come up with some sort of policy here, an official policy, in order to at least maybe, mitigate this in the future. Maybe you lose 20% of your purse or whatever it is if you come in contact during the weigh-ins, whatever it is, something like that.
Yeah,
I want to challenge that maybe quick, because I feel, Zeebs, in this example, it hurt UFC, but the 99 other times out of 100, it actually sells more pay-per-views and it sells more. So, I don't know. Did they tell him to go out there and push and it just freak accident? You know what I mean?
Stephens mentality. But also Dana White blaming Shelby. Does he forget about what happened with DC and Jones? He was in the middle of those two, and Jones literally tackled DC off the stage.
It was a power trip, and he's a hypocrite, and he literally was trying to a power thing, it's your fault and you're below me, and that's what I saw from it. But in the end, the fans lose because we wanted to see that fight. So it was fucking stupid. We all talked leading up to it. Great, it was going to be fight of the night probably. So that sucked. It sucked last minute too. It wasn't like it was a day or two before. It was like I was talking with Kronz, and we both had I think Stevens on DraftKings, and then it was supposed to start at 7. Then they pushed it back to 7:30 because that fight got canceled. So the card starts later, but they didn't tell us until they were on TV at 7:35. They're like, oh. So we went to make our changes. Well, it's too late because it was supposed to start at 7. So we were kind of chirping DraftKings a little bit because they didn't give an opportunity to replace that because of the stupidity, and it led to the fight being canceled. So kind of dumb.
So they cancel all those bets, don't?
No, well, if DraftKings, you
get
pick
0.
six guys or girls, but it's based on a amount of money that they give you. I think, what is it, 10,000?
50K.
50K. And each one's rated based on their how they're favored. So if
like
it's
a salary cap.
Yeah, salary cap. Like a minus 500 person would be a huge favorite. They'd be like 9,200, which is quite a bit in that 50K, right, for 6 people. Right. But yeah, so we got 0 on that. We weren't able to replace it. So automatically you're not going to win.
Yeah.
Right.
You get a 0.
So my conspiracy is that Snoop Dogg paid Stevens to push him and hurt him so that more people bought the Triller pay-per-view.
Maybe.
That's my theory.
Dana's
good solid
on that. Did you hear that? He's saying he's not going to pay Snoop. He doesn't owe Snoop anything.
And Snoop's chirping him like, where's my bill?
Yeah.
That was the best part of that whole broadcast when he knocked him out. Snoop's just going 2 million, 2 million.
Yeah. And he's like, you think I'm gonna put 2 million in a motherfucking goofball? And then like they get knocked out right away, like 3 seconds right after that. So yeah, no, I mean obviously we got to jump into that. So we have to address that. We have to address that. I mean. I know we all told you guys here at Hooks In to take Ben Askren, and we apologize. You know, we were blinded by our own, I guess, like Homer attitude here. We were trying to get the MMA fans going, but looking back on it, definitely not the right decision. Obviously, hindsight's 20/20, but I did, if you go back and watch it, I said his defense is horrible. I did say that. So if you go back and watch, and it was absolutely horrible. They can't keep the hands up, obviously. But what does this mean for MMA? I mean, it obviously doesn't look great, but I think the real fans kind of obviously know kind of what's going on in that situation. So I don't think it necessarily hurts it by any means, but it's not a great look. Not a great look, to be honest.
Yeah, but I don't know. Jake Paul might be legit, man. He could. Everybody's doubting him because he came from the Disney and he's YouTube star or whatever, but it looks like he's been putting in the work.
I think at the end of the day, he's an athletic guy, right? He's obviously a big guy, and he's an athletic, and and it's just you put in training into anything, you're going to get good at it. Like if you put in time, he's got obviously a lot of free time. He's just got getting paid to make YouTube videos or whatever, right? So he's got a lot of time to train, and hey, good ons for him in terms of at least putting the work in. It seems like. I think he took one of the easiest freaking matchups you could have taken of any MMA guy. That's the whole thing, right? That's why it was somewhat redeemable, why it was somewhat interesting, but it was.
I got to throw in there too, though, that although yes, he fought Askren and Nate Robinson, nobody's him and his team are masterminds in how they're gonna make this guy not only like a star, but even more money. He is building up and trending towards eventually fighting Conor. If he wins a couple more of these little upgrade fights and Conor decides to step away from MMA, he's looking at making money and securing his life for his family, even though he already kind of has. That's a fight that Jake Paul, if he gets to, 6-0 as a boxer, he wins 3 more and this level of competition is a little bit higher each time. He just generated 1.7 pay-per-view buys and he's fought 3 times. He's fought nobody. He's just popular, right? So if you get a popularity contest, which is what these cross-promotional boxing MMA fights are, I mean, it could happen, and that could be one of the biggest selling things in the history of martial arts. It literally could be.
I still think they got to legitimize him a little bit, though. Give him somebody that's actually a boxer right now. Tyson Fury's younger brother, that name is being thrown around a bit. He's 2 or 3-0 as a boxer, same weight class.
Yeah.
Yeah.
T. Woodley wants to fight him.
Yeah, Woodley.
Yeah,
but at
Then
least
you would elbow him. But
yeah, but that's at least a step up on Askren,
Yes.
of course, right?
agreed.
And then DC mentioned Luke Rockhold. I would like to see that. A real 205-pound man, same size, athletic. People say he's still like one of the most underrated, even though he's got knocked out a few times. He's too cocky, but his skills are like better than anyone's in the UFC.
Yeah, Mendez at AKA, he said that a bunch of times.
Yeah.
That he's the most naturally gifted he's ever taught.
So I mean, you throw Rockhold in there against Jake Paul, I don't think he comes out there very clean. He at least gets the shit beat out of him. Maybe scrapes a decision or something. But
so I agree with you, Zone. Like the guy's a mastermind, like smart as hell, knows how to make money, knows how to generate buzz, hype. I think, at least in my eyes, the jury's still out if he's actually good or not. Like, you can't really say. Like, I don't know. I would love to see him fight an actual boxer. Enough of these MMA retired, washed up. Like an actual boxer would be. But here's the problem with that. How do you get people to buy a pay-per-view if it's Joe Smith, who's 12-0 Golden Gloves boxer?
Exactly.
You can't.
Exactly.
So it has to be
Tyson Fury's brother is the perfect.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense to me. Yeah.
What'd you say, sorry? Josh, what'd you
Tyson Fury's younger brother.
Oh, okay.
Like 4-0 or whatever.
I thought you said the Diaz brothers. I still think that could be a seller as
Nick
well.
Diaz? Wow.
And then Nate and Logan Paul or something. Like
Speaking of Diaz brothers, Nick Diaz actually looks in pretty good shape.
Yeah.
Saw Ariel Helwani posted a picture of him the other day. About ready for a comeback, I think.
Yeah, that's true.
The Stockton boys against these rich little fucking YouTubers.
Ohio.
Yeah.
It'd be nuts.
Yeah. Crazy. What do you guys think about Masvidal's bare knuckles league that he announced here? What's your early thoughts on that?
I'll throw it out there quick. Just early on in the week, he was talking about finding the next Kimbo. And I'm like, oh, what's he like kind of talking about here? I'm like, either way, I'm like, whether it's a TV show or whatever it is, like they're looking for a fight, but they are looking for a Kimbo or something like that, like the next big star. It kind of sounds funny, but
making a Kimbo.
No.
Creating a Kimbo. But yeah, no, him going around, he said he's going to travel the world and go to like the streets that basically all that stuff came from. Like I'd even watch a TV show that's 45 minutes once a week of them going into fucking, I don't know, like Ghana and all these like little that'd be nuts. So then he announced it's actually going to be a league. Well, essentially he's kind of doing the same thing. He's going to, grab some talented street fighters from all these different parts of the world, and he's going to bring them in. It's going to be a bare knuckle. It's going to be fucking unbelievable. I can't wait.
Yeah.
I don't.
Kind of the same summary as Tapal. Guy's super smart, knows how to market himself. Even seen Usman today chirping him. You're 3-3 in your last 6. Like you're not even that good, but he's got charisma. People buy it. It sells tickets, and that's the key to this, isn't it? Right? Especially if you're starting a promotion, that's the number one thing. So it's going to be successful.
Should be called Street Jesus, though.
So, the guy's a legend. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Jesus is I was just gonna say it all came from just these viral knockouts, basically, right? True. Like that's basically how he created his name. He understood that, and that's why he has the following that he does.
And that's what he's going to be looking for. Maybe now that maybe you said travel the world, but he's going to get people to send in street fight videos, and he's going to maybe pick based on that too, like.
Mm-hmm.
Or he'll be on that app where you swipe left or right to fight guys.
Fight guys, and that's essentially what is tomorrow night. What's tomorrow night? Tomorrow night is the Barstool Rough and Rowdy 14. Can't wait. Got to tune in. But we got what's that?
I said event of the year.
Oh, can't wait. But we got 10 minutes left. Turn it over to Z. Easy lines. Let's go.
Oh, yeah. Okay, let's jump into it there. So quickly recap last week. Obviously, the canceled fight, Stevens and Close, with that infamous push there, kind of ruined lessened the amount of picks that we have, of course. But we went undefeated, 2-0, the big 2-0 last week, and of course taking Whittaker in winning by decision as well. So going into this weekend, we have a record of 113 wins, 76 losses, winning clip at 59.8% at this point. And this weekend, we have 3 exciting title fights to be breaking down. Starting off with the main event, of course, the welterweight championship between Kamaru Usman, the current champion, and the heavy favorite sitting at minus 450, taking on the challenger and large underdog, Jorge Masvidal, at plus 350. Usman is heavy favorite for a good reason, right? He defeated George last summer in a dominating decision in which Jorge was up against the cage for half the fight. Also, Usman is coming off an extremely impressive win over his former teammate in Gilbert Burns, who seemingly had the striking advantage kind of going into that, and also with jiu-jitsu, right? So Usman proved that wrong, though. He was able to string his overall MMA game together and take it to another level. Training with Trevor Whitman certainly has been helping him, right? I swear, if you step into Whitman's gym, like your striking goes up 20% immediately overnight or something. I think there's a good reason why he's favored, going into this fight, certainly. But for one thing, Jorge, he's coming off a 6-day notice to fight Usman, the first time around, right? So now that seems like a great disadvantage to a certain degree, but he was already preparing for that fight beforehand, before UFC switched it to Burns due to Masvidal asking for too much money, right? But as we know, Burns tested positive at that time last summer, wasn't able to make the flight to Abu Dhabi. UFC pays Masvidal on late notice and, steps into that ring at that point, right? So, but on the other side of the coin, Usman was preparing for Burns as well, right? So instead of, and so he wasn't able to kind of implement the game plan that he was probably planning on. He had to go the safe route, right? Which is using his wrestling game, using that to his advantage. That's what he's used to, pushing him up against the fence. Didn't make for a great fight, but I see something kind of going different here, in my opinion. Usman's a cerebral fighter. Striking has greatly improved. More time to prepare this time around. I think it's going to be a little bit more creative in there as well. Use more of that amazing jab to kind of set up other strikes and takedowns, in which he'll be able to land dangerous ground and pound strikes, as opposed to kind of just holding up against the fence and doing that toe stomping thing, right? So I believe Usman's the real deal. I'm going with this. He's much improved since that last meeting. Yes, Masvidal will actually be in fight shape this time around and be more prepared as well. But it won't be enough to kind of close the gap here on Usman's combination of size and strength that he has at this division, with his dominant wrestling skills. Right, with the dominant wrestling skills, you control where the fight goes at the end of the day, and so you dictate where the fight goes. So I think that's going to give him the overall advantage. Usman by finish at plus 240 looks very juicy to me. Him by decision is minus 138. So obviously the odds makers think something similar is going to happen, which is a fair stance to take. But I think there's a lot of value at this plus 240. I'm also liking the under in general. If Usman does lose in some way, it's Masvidal by KO, right? Yeah, so that's the only way that's going to really happen. So under 3.5 rounds, which is a plus 162. Great, nice value there. But what are you guys thinking?
I'm staying away from this one for easy lines, but I trust you, buddy.
Yeah, I got nothing to add there. I don't know how this one's gonna play out. I think Usman's gonna take it, but
yeah,
I don't know. Masvidal might do something crazy.
Yeah,
gonna hit the snooze button like I do every morning and go with snoozeman.
Yeah, no, I think obviously that's there's no value there, right, in terms of the money line, though, right? So that's why I'm kind of going for why that finish. I'm going with him with his greatly. He proved with Gilbert. Gilbert Burns is a very dangerous fighter, so the fact that he's able to finish him is quite amazing. Yeah. And I don't really I think Masvidal is a little overrated at this point. Yes, he had those viral knockouts, but I don't think he's at the level of Usman at this point. So that's why I'm going with that money line. And like I said, the under, if you disagree with me on the pick, I think the under's got some value there. But going into the strawweight championship, Rose Namajunas taking on Weili Zhang. Weili's the current champ, comes in as the moderate favorite, minus 200. Rose, the underdog, plus 170. This is without the doubt the hardest fight to call, in my opinion, which also makes it the most exciting, of course. Weili coming off a fight of the year candidate with Joanna from last March. She's rested and recovered, though, of course, ready for another war with Rose, which is, a very different fighter than Joanna in terms of their approach. Weili, very technical. And her approach herself, excellent boxing, great low kicks. She for sure will have the power advantage here over Rose, but Rose, I think, will have the speed advantage with her elusiveness factor, of course, as well. Her footwork's the best in this division, in my opinion. She's rarely off balance or in the wrong position, right? So her record's 9-4. It doesn't tell the whole story. She started fighting UFC when she was 21 years old. Her fourth professional fight was against Carla Esparza. So even though Rose is younger of the two, she's had less fights, but she's more experienced, fought tougher people. Rose is in for a very tough night, though, right? There's a reason why Weili is favorite here. Of course, has amazing strength, extremely tough. Rose is going to have to stick and move and look to counter, right, as she always does, and look to avoid kind of Weili's grappling and dirty boxing here. So. Tough fight to call. I'm taking Rose plus 170 though, value. 28 years old. She's still getting better. Weili, I feel like, is kind of at her peak, and she's going to plateau. I like the value there. Of course, I will not be surprised if Zhang wins, but I like Rose. Rose by decision as well, plus 375. I think it's a close fight. Goes to decision, back and forth. Plus 375 Rose. What are you guys thinking?
Agree.
Yeah, I agree. I hope Rose doesn't see one of those dollies backstage before the fight and start having flashbacks.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think mentally she's going to be. I think she will be prepared mostly. She only fights once a year at this point, but she always performs well. And she, had a great performance against Andrade, which leads us into our third championship fight here.
Two and a half minutes left.
Yeah, thank you. So flyweight champion. Valentina Shevchenko taking on Jessica Andrade. Valentina, of course, heavy favorite, minus 450. Andrade, underdog, plus 350. I'm not going to go into in-depth in here. I'm taking Valentina by the win. I think it's going to be an impressive finish. Valentina has a large height and reach advantage here. Is going to be able to land well on the outside. Andrade tries to walk down people and comes forward all the time. Valentina is going to be able to line something up. She's undervalued now after that performance against Jennifer Maia. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, Z. I think she's going to pick Andrade apart. I think that one's going to be close. I think it's going to be a blowout.
Shevchenko, plus 130 finish. That's what I'm liking there. And then finally, Weidman, money line, minus 125. He's going to use his grappling. Uriah Hall's overvalued right now because of his win over Anderson Silva. Silva's a shell of himself now. Weidman's going to use his grappling and dominate him by decision, or him by, I can even see a third round TKO by him. So him by money line at the very least, minus 125 is my last pack of the night. So Zone, take it from there.
Yeah, I only got one. I agreed with Rose. The other one is Carl Roberson, plus 150 against Brendan Allen. That's the only one I'm looking at there for value, and I think it happens. Last weekend, little disappointed. Andrei Arlovsky still gets paid a lot of money and has some decisions that I had Chase Sherman getting that one, so I was a little disappointed in that. But I do like Roberson this week.
Nice.
Yeah, that was a joke of a decision.
Yeah.
For the record, that was stupid. But
yeah.
Anyways, enjoy the Friday night cards.
PFL and
yep, Barstool. Let's get it. And then we'll see you at the cashier right around 2 a.m. on Sunday. Once all those parlays hit. So let's get it, guys. We'll see you next week for episode 43. And cheers. All the best.
All right. Boom. Next up on the Hooks In MMA podcast, we're excited to have UFC fighter. He's got a fight coming up in December. 10-3 record. He's a welterweight. He grew up in Brooklyn, New York, and he's currently training out of San Diego, California. Dwight, the body snatcher, Grant. How's it going today?
Going pretty good. How you doing?
Good, thanks. Yeah, so we were just chatting. The the training has been going well. Some of the best training you've had in your career so far.
Yeah.
Speak to your experience at Alliance, I guess.
It's been great. I started training here this year, and I was coming off of an injury and everything like that, and they really helped me transition back into training, like every day, and pushing me to keep a high standard for myself, energy-wise, output-wise, and it's completely training-wise. So it's been really good. I'm really excited too because I'm learning a lot of new things, and the style of training they have there really accentuates a lot of my abilities that I use in my fights.
Way to put that. So growing up in Brooklyn, New York, what were some of the hobbies you had, and what age and why did you get into MMA?
Hobbies I had over there. Skateboarding was like my favorite thing. So I did a lot of skateboarding. Skateboarding really wasn't that big in Brooklyn at the time, so we had to like find spots, and like we got to be the first people to skate a lot of like really cool spots. But I liked martial arts a lot. The only problem with martial arts was pretty expensive to get into. I'll ask my aunt, I think when I was about 9 or 10, to take me to Taekwondo school. But man, it was expensive. It was so expensive that even as a kid, I was like, yeah, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. So luckily, Jackie Robinson program at my school, they had a martial arts program to learn Aki-Jitsu. And that was a lot of fun. It kind of gave me the whole, ideal of a structure of martial arts and how it worked. And then from there, I kept getting more and more curious about it. So eventually I started training JKD, Jump on Kung Fu, and I went on to do Muay Thai and, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and the whole thing, JKD stuff. It was really cool. That pretty much led me to Valtudo and boom, MMA. So MMA became like my my favorite thing to do.
Yeah, so expanding your skill set and adding on those disciplines and being more multifaceted, eh?
Yeah.
So we know you're at Alliance right now. Who are your coaches in your corner for your upcoming fight, and just some of the training partners you have that push you every day?
I have Eric Del Fierro. He's like the head coach over there. I have Adam Blair Pride. He's another coach over there, and I have Eric Urisk. He's helped me out a lot too. But everybody there really helps me out a lot. Like Miles Jury. Like he helps me out a lot. A training partner. He's amazing. His fighting is amazing. So I give him a lot of good tips. Jeremy Stevens helps me a lot to also give me some good tips and also motivates me a lot to train. Everybody there. It sounds like I don't know if cliche is the word, but it seems kind of like corny to be like everybody there motivates me every single day. But realistically, like everybody there motivates me every single day. Like I watch people train. My friend Alberto, he's fighting for a belt this weekend. Watching him train since I got there made me think about how much more I could be doing as a professional, like how much more I could be training. Seeing these guys train and the standard they keep, like the high standard they keep for like being in shape and what you got to do during practice has, motivated me and scared me,
Yeah.
that I'm always in shape so I could make it through. So like everybody there really helps me out a lot. Yeah?
What's Alberto's last name?
Oh man, his last name. I can't remember his last name right now.
Do you know what belt is he fighting for, or what promotion?
It's gonna be in Philadelphia. I want to say CFFC, but I don't want to say the wrong thing. And I'm using my phone for this, so I can't look it up.
Okay, no worries. I'll look at that after. We have a fellow Canadian. I'm from Canada. We have a fellow Canadian fighting on the CFFC card, so I was just curious.
Oh, cool. I make sure they're not fighting each other, right?
No, he's not a heavyweight, Alberto, right?
No. He's a bantamweight. I think he's fighting a guy from Philly. So yeah.
Okay, I'll check that after, and I'll message you after, and we'll talk about that.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So just talk about your Dana White Contender Series experience, and then obviously the win and a contract. Just how was that overall experience?
Well, it was pretty amazing. It's almost like a storybook kind of thing because I've been fighting since 2006. I think like a long time. And, trying to get into a big show, I tried out for the Ultimate Fighter, and I got pretty far, like almost up until the last moment, with that. And then I didn't get to go on. So it was like a lot of near opportunities that kind of got pulled from under me. And I was really wanting to get on into the UFC. As a matter of fact, speaking of the CFFC, I was fighting for them for a belt right before, I think in the October before, in 2017, I believe it was. 2017? Yeah. And it got canceled, and I was devastated, dude. Like, I was so upset, and I felt like my last opportunity to get into UFC was kind of gone, you know, because I was 33 at the time, and I was like, man, this is getting pretty rough. And then, like, a few months later, you know, I kept at it, and I got a call to go on to the Contender Show. And obviously, you know, everything felt like, okay, I have to make this happen. I have to go in there and do everything I can to make sure I get the win. So it was really cool being able to go to UFC Training Center and, like, you know, go through everything and see how things operate. And then getting into the actual fight, it felt very normal, but my training was really, I was in the San Jose AK at the time, and you know, I was training with my friends mostly and just going to team practice, you know, but my schedule was really, really off. So I had to really, like, become the general in my schedule, you know, like, really say, like, I'm doing this time, do that this time. And in my career, like, usually, like, my coaches, like, kind of set things up for me, but I had to become the person to do it. And the reason was, regardless of people's feelings, regardless of my own feelings or whatever it is, I had to make sure the work got done. So that was a major shift in how I trained. The fight went on, and it worked out really well, and by grace of God, I got the contract, so everything worked out really well then.
Yeah, it worked out very well, and you know, since then, you're 2-2 in the UFC, and you got a big fight coming up in December, on December 12th against you know, a veteran of the UFC, Jinglang Li. I've watched a bunch of his fights before too. You know, he's pretty skilled. So just, you know, speak to that opportunity, getting that call, signing that contract, and how you're feeling going into that.
Oh, well, it's great because the thing about it for me is that I came to the sport. I mean, I've set up a fight for a long time, and I really enjoy like just watching it, you know, just watching it. And I felt like a fan stepping into the octagon, you know, like, so when I get to fight people that I actually have seen before and I heard of, it takes the excitement to another level. You know, it's almost like I just got, like, pulled into the TV. You know, so I'm really excited to fight this guy. Because when I heard of him, I knew who he was. I remember seeing him a while ago and thinking, like, man, one day I'm probably have to fight this guy. You know, and it was just like a passing thought, you know. And now it's actually happening. So I'm preparing for, like I do any other fight, but the certain level of zest and excitement that happens every time I start training for it. You know.
Yeah, and I think we can both agree that your level of excitement for this fight kind of coincides with this being your best training camp of your career, you said, right? So, you know, it's really excited, you're more motivated and more, you know, pumped up for fighting a guy that you've seen before. You know, for a training camp and then a weight cut and then your fight, what do you like to do after fights when it's all said and done and it's the next day or whatever, or that night?
Oh, well, I mean, that night I usually don't sleep because I can't sleep after fights anyway. So, like, I'll be up until, like, you know, like 5, 6 in the morning. Last fight, I was up until like a day and a half. You know, so usually playing video games, talking to my coaches, and, like, cracking jokes. And if my flight is early enough, I'll fly home. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. In between and during the wake up, for sure, is video games the whole way through. You know, I bring my games with me, and I you know, I play whatever I can. A lot of Mario Kart for some reason. And so it's like my go-to game during the fight week. And then a little bit of anime the day before. Just things that relax me. I might watch a documentary, like an old like MMA documentary, or like a Pride FC fight. Just kind of get the, you know, that I don't know how to describe it, but something about the fights back then when it was like, this guy only knows how to do jiu-jitsu and this guy only knows how to wrestle. That, like, it just felt very, like, satisfying to see them, like, go all out, because at some point it's like they just took off their traditional robes and was like, we're just gonna start punching you, you know, and you feel like that I don't know, like, just primal, like, aggression to win. Yeah, and so I like watching those.
Yeah, and there's some 20-minute rounds, 20-minute fights, like some 30-minute draws. Pretty crazy.
Yeah, so I watched a lot. I watched those the week of, and then get my head in the right place, and then I fight, and then go home, play video games, hang out with my family, and there you go.
And what's your go-to system? Your video game system?
Well, I like PlayStation a lot, but during the week, because the Switch is portable, I bring my Switch and I've got a whole bunch of games loaded up on that. And also, you know, Mario Kart's on there, so it makes it easy.
Awesome. Yeah. So what you have do you have a family, and what are some of your hobbies you do when you're not training or fighting?
Oh well, video games. Yeah, yeah, but I have a wife and a son. My son is 4, and he is growing into quite the avid gamer himself. I'm very happy to say that. We and him play video games a lot. As a family, we play around, like pretty much just crack jokes and play around all the time. Like me and my wife always cracking jokes with each other. And now this kid is he's at an age where he's speaking very freely and being able to understand things. Like he's jumping in on the jokes too. So it's a lot of that. We watch a lot of television shows together now because that's all we could go on. We couldn't really go outside a lot before, so we watch a lot of shows together. And just hanging around the house, playing games together and cracking jokes, watching TV.
Yeah, and bonding. My kid just turned 1, so I'm looking forward to when your son's age, like 4 years old, start doing some more things with him, eh?
Yeah, the more durable.
Yeah, no kidding. More trouble. So our last segment's between rounds. I'm going to ask you a question, and you'll answer it how you want. Sound good?
Cool.
What's your favorite food to eat?
Peanut butter and jelly sandwiches.
Favorite sport other than MMA?
Ice skating.
Favorite getaway spot in either Brooklyn or San Diego or both?
New York City Banks in New York, and here, say the gym. Yeah.
What about favorite country in the world?
Ooh, America.
Other than America?
Well, Guyana. That's where I'm from too. So Guyana.
Is that where some of your roots are from?
Yeah, so that's where the rest of my family's from. But without being biased to those places, then Japan for sure.
Okay. Yeah, good. Some good MMA fans in Japan.
Yeah.
What about your favorite kind of music?
Oh man, Japanese rock music and rap.
Do you have a favorite artist?
Hikaru Tada and J-pop, and rap music. I want to see Big Smalls.
Good choice. Favorite movie of all time?
Legend, 1985. Tim Curry, Mia Sara, and Tom Cruise.
Yeah, it's a good movie. And the GOAT debate is a topic in the last week or so here. Who do you have as your top MMA fighter of all time?
Oh, for me, without a doubt, it's Anderson Silva. That's no question for me.
Yeah, and how come? What would you?
Well, I mean, Anderson Silva, he obviously dominated for a long time. His fights were really amazing, and there's a couple of times where you thought he was going to lose, and he came back and he won it. It was just such a roller coaster ride, being a fan of his during his peak time. John Jones, to me is another one that has potential for it. He's been undefeated the whole time, so you can't say anything about it. It's like a perfect record. I mean, that one fight you can't recount. Yeah, so and he's had some really good wins. But maybe because I was a little older at the time when John Jones was coming through. But for me, Anderson Silva, his level of just awareness and striking, it was just almost godlike at the time. It was the fight with Forrest Griffith, or even that comeback victory against Chael Sonnen. All these moments, I just remember jumping all the way to the
yeah.
So that's what you get Anderson Silva for me.
And you brought up Anderson Silva, so this weekend he fights for the last time. Do you give him a chance?
Yes, I would give Anderson Silva a chance because, look at Anderson Silva, but because it's he's fighting Uriah Hall. Uriah Hall is a great matchup just because they compare Uriah Hall to Anderson Silva during his time coming up in Ultimate Fighter show. So it's almost like a mirror match. And when Anderson Silva fights people who are similarly outside of the norm in MMA, where they don't just do boxing, Muay Thai, and Jiu-Jitsu, they step outside to karate or Kung Fu. He has a really good read on them, and I feel like he'll be able to read Hall's attacks very well and land some good shots. It's just gonna be a matter of how much he's willing to output and what he's willing to do, and also, of course, Hall's involved. He's involved in the fight too. So he's gonna have his things and his strategy. And usually, I would always go for Hall in fights, but anybody fighting Anderson Silva, I'm going for Anderson Silva. I'm sorry.
Yeah, for sure. Can't wait to watch that. Are you going to win on the 12th? And if so, how?
I am definitely going to win on the 12th, and it's going to be by knockout. Anytime somebody's fighting me, their coaches, their training partners, everybody doesn't have to worry about what I'm coming to do. I'm coming to win by KO. And my style now that I've been training here, I've been able to kind of step into the style that I imagine myself fighting when I go to sleep. Now I'm able to do that actually in the octagon. So I'm able to have a lot of output, able to see things, strike really well, and put on a show with a lot of action. And it's like just barreling towards the finish the whole time. As opposed to before where I felt like I kind of had to be more reserved. Now I can really express myself truly. And that's what martial arts is about. That's the art in martial arts, about expression. So I'm very confident in my win on the 12th of December.
That's a great way to put it. Any sponsors, shout-outs, or social media to finish up?
Oh, yeah. I got to shout out my sponsors, GFY Gear. They've been with me for a long time. I like them a lot. Fight Rope, the jump rope company, have been amazing. All my friends at Alliance MMA have been, my teammates have been helping me out, the coach there. My Instagram, Dwight Grant MMA. Also, my Twitter, Dwight Grant, and my video game Instagram, because I'm playing video games all the time. Punches and Dragons. Like I'm on there every day posting my video games, and sometimes training too. Yeah, so, check those out.
Well, we really appreciate you coming on and giving your time today. Huge fight December 12th against Jinglang Li. We got Dwight, the body snatcher, Grant. Really appreciate you coming on today. Thanks so much. This is Hooks in MMA.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thanks so much.